Hey y'all, I'm Mayer Cunningham, the special education boss. If you've ever felt confused, overwhelmed, or just plain frustrated at the 504 IEP table, you are in the right place. Every week, I'm breaking down the rules, the rights, and the realities of special education so you can walk into meetings informed, empowered, and ready to make real change. And whether you're a parent, a teacher, an advocate, a school-based member, or somebody who's just trying to do right by a student, this podcast gives you straight talk, real answers, and tools that you can use immediately. I'm not here to play politics. I'm not here to play sides. I'm here to train people who sit at the table and teach you how to follow the law, ask the right questions, and protect the rights of students. So go ahead and hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and you know what? Meet me back here every single week. We're not just talking about change. We're making it. Because when you know better, you do better. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. Hello! We are live. Thanks you guys for waiting a couple days. I was not in town Monday night, but I am here now. So we would love to answer your questions. The good thing about May and June is that there's fewer people on, so we can answer more of your questions. Cindy, have you had a good week? Have you finished all your IEPs? Have you not put a marble in anybody's gas tank?
I have not put any marbles that somebody has caught me on camera.
Yeah, that's the problem now. There's cameras everywhere.
Correct. So you just got to be careful.
So it's curbed my criminality.
Yeah. Yes. It's making me think about my choices. It's been a great week. No, I have not finished my IEPs. I still have several, but the most important one last week.
So good. Tell us about your IEP meeting last week. I think I was there, right?
Yes, ma'am. You were there again. The source of my tears, this time happy tears. And Mikey now has his work-based learning opportunities for next year. And it is wonderful.
Yeah. So exciting. So exciting. Amazing. Sometimes special ed is like the Shawshank Redemption. You're just and then one day,
oh, absolutely,
you're out. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad. There is Gary. Y'all say hi. I'm going to see you. I will see you in Vegas for ISS. I love that the conference for teachers is called ISS. Innovative School Summit. Good stuff. All right.
I'm trying to read some of the questions, but I have misty, happy-eyed tears, so they're getting in my way.
That was a good day.
Yes, it was a good day. And now I can just imagine you, with Shawshank Redemption, with the, whittling out the pieces of the concrete wall in the yard.
That's right.
Okay. Just to let you know, I'll have my transition IEP meeting from pre-K to K tomorrow. Any suggestions?
The suggestions is always the same, right? Make sure that you get a draft ahead of time and that you've written out your questions. It's sort of like going to the doctor or the grocery store. If you don't have it written out, you're going to miss something important. Okay, now, look at you guys coming to Kentucky next week. Oh, we are excited. Is this facing the right direction, Cindy? I've confused myself with the mirror now.
Yes, the IEP Epic book. Yes, it is correct.
It's correct.
Yes. Does the IEP and 504 go with the child to after-school programs?
Not usually. So there would be a continuation of that if it was tied to an educational need and tied to curriculum expectations or participation expectations. So for instance, if your child is in 9th grade and they play the piccolo and we have marching band for your 9th grade year and she needs support during marching band season, then certainly that would be after school. But, Girl Scouts, robotics club, pep squad, not so much.
Who decides if a special education student receives transportation?
The same person that decides everything. The team. So to meet eligibility for special education transportation, sort of a smaller area of disabilities, you might have a profound medical need, a cognitive deficit, or a behavioral need that falls under AU, ED, or ADHD.
What steps do I take if the written prior notice is missing some things that we spoke about?
I would just email the school district, campus, or city and say, is this your final copy of the PWN? And then based on their answer, I would say, ask what I want to be corrected. If they don't correct it, then you would file. That's a procedural violation or IDEA. A prior written notice must contain 7 legal standards to be correct, so that we have a complete accounting of the denial or the refusal or the granting to do something.
What is happening in Kentucky next weekend?
I don't know what's happening in Kentucky next weekend. I feel like there's an in-person training. So in Lexington, Kentucky, the 30th and 31st of May, we'll be having a 2-day live in-person. We're live and we're in person. Can you believe it, Cindy?
Oh my gosh, it's one of the best things. I never get tired of it.
Yeah.
Never.
I love work in the room, serve in the room. We have so many people coming.
Woo woo! I work in a town-based preschool classroom. Do we have to follow an IEP?
So is it public school or is it more like daycare?
Good question. It's coming in from Cassandra. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Are there IEPs in preschool?
If they're school-based, if they're a public school-based program.
Does every single state have developmental delay? I moved from a state that had it, but now I'm in a state that does not.
About 8 states have it.
Ugh.
It's the only federal eligibility that's solely driven by a state decision. People.
So the one with, I work in a town-based preschool classroom. Do we have to follow an IEP? She said it's federally funded, but neither.
You either receive federal funds for it based on an educational need. So birth to 18 months, ECI, early childhood, PPCD, preschool programs for children with disabilities, which is now ECSE, early ECSC, early childhood special education. Is it May? Cindy, May is like 10 years long, isn't it?
It is, and I get to spend the last 2 days with you.
Yes.
Do colleges have IEPs?
No, ma'am. So IEPs are individualized education programs for students between the ages of 3 and 22, and a public school that have a need for specially designed instruction.
Okay. 5th grade, autistic HF, SPD, school state's data said can do some work, but he tested at the 3rd grade level. Thoughts?
Thoughts about what?
That it is a 5th grade autistic Hispanic female with sensory processing disorder. School states that he can do some work, but he's tested at the 3rd grade level.
So is your question about placement? Is it about services? Is it about eligibility?
That's a good question, and that one comes from Brenda. Why is it so hard to get a one-on-one? What steps do you recommend taking?
Yeah, so a one-on-one, I would rarely request for a student unless they needed full-time nursing, unless they needed a communication partner because they use a speech-generated device. But the other way is if a student is an endangerment to himself or others. But other than that, I feel like somewhere during the instructional day we could fade that support from being on your hip. So I wouldn't want a full para all the time.
If a student can't read or write in the 3rd grade, would they qualify for a designated para?
No. Having an academic deficit doesn't mean that you need a para. A para is another set of hands that's either providing a personal care supplement, individual health care plan, behavioral needs, a BIP, those sorts of pieces. But if you have deficits in academics, then we can make some adjustments, right? We can adjust the learner expectation. We can reduce activities and homework and tests and all of those things.
If a student has math minutes on their IEP, should the SPED teacher be helping with them?
So if a student is in a general ed class and they have in-class support and they have an IEP goal in that content area, then the special educator would be responsible for modifying the student's expectations.
Oh, there's a part 2. Should they be helping them with assignments or just with their math goals and tests?
Both. Your IEP needs and then whatever happens during the instructional day. Thanks you guys for the gifts.
How does flexible student schedules work for medical needs like outpatient therapy and appointments?
Yeah, so you have kiddos, we were talking about this the other day, that have high medical protocols, or maybe they're in a study, or they're trying to stay extra well because they're receiving chemotherapy. So we have documentation from the doctor that there's going to be a reduction of actually showing up for class based upon keeping them well and not getting sick from other kiddos. So if you map that out with the district, that should be sufficient.
Okay, Brenda gave us an update. For the 5th grade autistic Hispanic female sensory processing disorder, school states the data said that they could do some work, but he tested 3rd grade level. So what do we do for placement and testing?
So I guess I'm still not following the question. Does he already have an IEP?
We will look for that.
I mean, I think he probably already does.
My son needs a one-to-one, but the private school doesn't want to give him that. What can I do to get him in?
So again, the one-on-one is going to be the most expensive, right, for the district, and it's also going to be the most restrictive for the student, right? And so when we have that, it really is hard to tease out the data. What are they doing? What is the teacher doing? What would happen if the teacher wasn't there? So when you say private school, do you mean like a charter school or an actual like a religious school or a private? Because those two don't have to follow IDEA.
Thoughts on shared para versus retention?
I mean, those are two very different things. I'm not a proponent of retention unless the student has literally not been there for much of the year, and I've had that happen before. Or we get to the end of kindergarten, first, rarely 2nd grade, and you just have not acquired those foundational skills to build.
There are several people who are very excited that your live was tonight because they finally found you, and they're like, whoop, whoop,
Whoop, whoop.
Let's see. What happens when the special educator is on medical leave or like maternity leave?
They're not there. But somebody else with the same credentialing should replace them.
Can you get toileting IEP goals? They are not changing my son either, and he is leaking through his clothes.
Absolutely. If a child needs help with any hygiene needs, we can certainly write an IEP goal around that.
What if the 3rd grader can't initiate, complete, or sustain independent work?
Then that would be an area of critical need. You need to write an IEP goal around it.
Our district has decided to return our students from specialized out of the district placement to our, hang on, let me scroll up, to our, oh, the other part didn't come through yet. I'll keep that in my head. Let's see. Do you recommend half day for autistic kids entering kindergarten or a delayed skipping a year?
Neither. I mean, I'd recommend what's appropriate for them, right? So if the student can tolerate a full day of instruction as a 4-year-old, then do that. If it's more appropriate to do a half day, then do that. But I would never recommend skipping any grade.
Alrighty. When is retention appropriate?
So that's a very personal decision between the parent and administration. It's not an IEP decision, and it's certainly not a 504 decision.
What do I do when my daughter has a shared half day in high school and then the other half is vocational school?
What do you mean, what do you do?
Oh, but they are not following her accommodations.
Then you would address that with the school, right? I would just reach out and go to your Bob, Joe, Cindy, Terry. When could we expect her complete IEP or 504 to be implemented?
How does an independent healthcare plan work?
So a healthcare plan is when a student has needs that they need to have specificity, a doctor's order, and therefore the instructional year. And so that would be part of your IEP or your 504.
Okay, for our previous question, it's a religious school and he has dyslexia. So it was my son's needs a one-on-one, but the private school doesn't want to give him that. What can I do to get him in? And then she said it's a private school with dyslexia.
Yeah, no, there's no requirement for private schools to deliver an IEP.
Let's see. Let me find this one. I don't see the first part of that.
Yeah, if you guys have a question, there's like a little checkbox down there, and you can send in your questions.
Okay. How long should one deaf student have the same interpreter? First grader, second year with the same interpreter.
I mean, I don't think that becomes a problem. I mean, usually the older they get, there's more signing, so often they'll be switched between two providers during the day. But, I mean, I don't see that being a problem, especially for districts that are rural.
In Texas, can a SPED teacher teach resource without math certifications?
Not starting in the fall. So starting in the fall of 2026, you have to be, wait for it, credentialed for the content that you teach, whether that's general ed or special ed.
What if you know that your child's writing grades are inflated and that they refuse to give an IEP?
So I would come to the table with data, right? So 3-minute cold read, a 3-minute cold write, do several of those, and then when you come back to the table, provide that information. It should be pretty much aligned to what he produces in class.
When would you fight back against schools when they recommend a modified curriculum placement?
So it's not about fighting back. It's about, we are all charged with the same thing, to make decisions solely based upon the data. And unfortunately, a lot of times in meetings, like in other parts of our lives, decisions are made on emotions, right? I'm afraid. I think he can. I want to push him. We make all these decisions and we need to track with the data, right? So I'm looking at two things, rate of expectancy and progress, and then the appropriateness. So we have to look at, if it took a child 10 years to read at this grade level, and then you're expecting him to have another year of special education, what's the probability and the rate at which he will improve?
How do I help my child at home? He's an 8th grader and he reads at a first grade level.
So if I had a kiddo that was struggling with reading, I would look to invest into a software called Learning Ally. Learning Ally, LearningAlly. They're amazing, and so many components. You can speed it up, you can slow it down, you can change the accent. It highlights as you read. So that would be my first recommendation. What about iReady? iReady's in iTrouble, aren't they, Cindy?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I don't, do you know how that happened? Like, did the iReady people just raise their hand and go, we blew it? Like, what happened?
I don't know.
Yeah. Looks like they had a plank in their iReady. Ba-dum-bum. And people are mad. Like, I didn't know we're supposed to be mad about that. iReady? You ready? Mm-mm.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I mean, like, what happens? Are they going to give you, like, free ESY? Like, how do you fix that? I don't know. This is serious, Cindy. This is very serious.
It's hard to read, ma'am.
I know.
Our district is part of a co-op and have decided to bring back only 8 students, and my son is not one of them. Thoughts?
Bring them back from, are they in the middle of a baseball field? I mean, what does that mean? Are they on the edge of a planet? I'm not usually a super fan of co-ops, only because, like myself, they're old and they're stuck in their ways, and it's often hard to get good resources.
504 and IEP, what's the difference?
The difference is the 504 is the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. So it was a federal act for anybody that has a disability, and that individual, based upon their known disability, could not be denied their needed accommodations. So that includes school, that includes colleges, that includes the workforce.
Do kids that have an IEP have to be in a classroom that has an ESE certified teacher?
Well, that would make it appropriate, and that would make it FAPE.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Can schools tell parents to pull ECSE students early every day if they don't want them to attend full day?
Can they? Any entity could do whatever it wanted to do. We're supposed to do what students need to be successful and for students to win. So shortening their instructional day for whatever reason is penalizing the student.
Okay, let's see. The co-op is at a district 20 minutes away. They are denying my son to come back because he's in a wheelchair.
That sounds like an email to the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Big time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Started with the children all the time, and I worked with kids and gave them everything I was. No, I don't see anything else on that one. Okay, I'll look for it. Let's see. My daughter has ADHD and ASD level 1 and is on a 504. But their assessment doesn't show a need for an IEP. How do I respond to that?
Did she say she was blind as well?
No, ADHD and ASD.
I can't imagine that you would have both and there would be no educational need. But again, I would have to see your paperwork. Is the denial based upon informal assessments, or did they actually do a full individualized evaluation?
Let's see. It says, and I'm not sure, I'll have to go back. Regarding the above resource, do you know what the law or the act is that was put into place for that?
For what?
Good question. Malia, if you could let me know, I will read it when it comes in. Okay. Here we go. What's the proper procedure to get a student with autism a one-on-one aid in California due to elopement?
Yeah, so you wouldn't need a para all day for elopement. You don't need somebody standing on somebody's hip because they elope once in a while. You probably really need to really tighten up the setting that he's in to improve safety.
Okay, this is a partial. My son is ASD but struggling with an IEP. I tried to fight it, but the school is doing nothing. Thoughts?
There gets to a point where you're going to have to get representation, right? Somebody that's a good advocate that does that for a living will be able to communicate your needs more efficiently in a sanitized, effective way in an IEP meeting.
Sanitize. I love
Sanitize, like fabuloso, right, Cindy?
Yeah. Oh, I love lemon.
Yeah, this because in an IEP meeting, and we were actually having a good time. We like to have a good time, Cindy, right? And
yes.
The audiologist was there, and the teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing, and we were talking about, you have to log them every day, the hearing aids, and clean them. I said, just soak them in some fabuloso, and the DHH teacher was like, "Oh," I was like, I was just kidding. Sorry. Do not soak them in fabuloso.
Dude, how often do IEP needs need to be revised and updated?
So you actually need an IEP meeting when you are considering changing components of the IEP. If you're having challenges and struggles with other things, you can do a student, teacher, parent Zoom. You can reach out to leadership. Everything doesn't require an IEP meeting. Although I love an IEP meeting.
Can schools pick and choose what to document when the student is on IEPs with behavior?
Well, so we did pick and choose what to document. Those are IEP goals. So IEP goals have to be measurable and monitored. And we provide that data to parents at the end of every grading period.
Oh, and a part two, for example, on their FBA, can the schools pick and choose?
Pick and choose the data from the FBA?
I guess what they're going to track.
So the FBA doesn't give you something to track. The BIP does. So the Behavior Intervention Plan, and we expect behavior to be tracked daily.
Student has assaulted 10 staff members and no setting change. Why is this?
I have no idea. Like, I have zero idea.
How to change my son's IEP eligibility from ASD to ADHD to get more time out of autism room?
I mean, we get things because the data supports that getting those things is going to have an increased output.
What do you do if you're getting kickback? Oops, it jumped.
Not the kickback.
Right.
We don't take kickbacks, ma'am. That would be
No.
well, we do get a full serving of pushback. Isn't that right, Cindy?
Oh boy.
I don't know why.
Yeah, and sometimes you get beeps from a horn too. What do you do if you're getting kickbacks on BMU students? Consequences from admin for no reason.
So I'm going to assume that BMU means some sort of behavior moderate. I don't know. I don't work at a school. I've never been an employee of a school district, so I don't. As a business owner, it's hard for me to understand sometimes the pushback that is education or special education. Did they always tell you, Cindy, when you worked in the school for almost 30 years, did they tell you while they were pushing back on stuff?
No, but then at the end, it was because of money.
Yeah.
Money and time.
Two important things.
Yes. Do you know much about PANDAS diagnosis and how to have them change from DD to OHI on IEP?
So we change eligibility because what we have there is not appropriate. So that's not really hard to get changed from DD. But PANDAS it's not new. We're still working on school, having them believe that there's ADHD. So when we talk about PANDAS, that's a whole nother realm. I'm going to make sure that you have really good backing from medical professionals.
Is it best practice to ability group?
I think it's best practice to need group.
Malia said it was in regards to being a SPED certified and teaching resource. Do I need a math certification?
It depends what state you're in.
Let's see. I am here and I love you and all your stuff.
Oh, thank you.
Yay. Let's see. What information do you need to request a school to pay for a neuropsych evaluation?
That their team members, A, indicate that it's a needed evaluation, and B, they don't have those instruments or protocols, and C, they're going to pay for it.
Excellent. IEP team wants to take away OT services and switch to consult, even though he needs OT. What can I do?
Well, first you need to remember what month are we in. We're in the month of clip, 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 clip. It's amazing how many kids have had an educational need all year. And lo and behold, May Day gets here. And guess what, Cindy? There's no problem. It's amazing. So if there is a consideration for change in services, make sure that they have the data to support that. If you do disagree in the meeting, make sure that a prior written notice is completed by the leadership from the school.
When do you request a meeting with the principal for a child being bullied at school who has autism?
Immediately. I mean, if my child period is being bullied, whatever their category is, I'm asking for a meeting immediately.
Absolutely. What grade do you think BIPs become less impactful?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, they're less impactful if they're not done well, right? Often when I see a BIP, it's what you want him to stop doing, which we would agree, right? But if you want him to stop doing something, you have to teach him a replacement behavior. And so sometimes I don't think that those sit very clearly inside of the BIP.
Can principals and SPED directors override the committee's decision?
In Seminole County, they can. So again, the can and what is legal are two different things. So Cindy, one of our amazing partners who always helps me on TikTok Live, it's businesses, which schools are a business, can do whatever they want. Unfortunately, special education is a federally funded program. The federal government does not come into states. Federal government doesn't come into school districts. And we often say that we believe, for the most part, IDEA is a required implemented regulation based on parents. And so I find that schools do things that they've done for a long time.
Where do I file a state complaint with ADA?
So ADA is not a state complaint. So that's the Americans with Disabilities Act. You would file with them. You could file with the U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights. You could file a Title II complaint. You could file a state complaint. You could file a grievance. It just depends on exactly what your outcome is that you're wanting.
Got it. So here is one where there was a bunch of parts to the question. We are part of the co-op, and my son has to be bused 20 minutes away to go to school. Our district has decided to bring back 8 students for the next school year. Originally, I was told all self-contained were coming back, but now it's only 8. They have mentioned the building can't be made ADA compliant in 3 months. Therefore, it's not in the best interest for my son to come back at this time. So they are denying him because he is in a wheelchair.
We would call that a problem. So schools, buildings, entities have been required to be ADA compliant since 1990. 36 years to pour yourself a slab. So we're a little late for that.
It's when I graduated high school.
Oh, 1990. Was I making good choices in 1990? Probably not.
But did your hair look good?
My hair was huge. It was like Bon Jovi. My bangs were like as tall. They were this high.
Part 1. I'm a para who's been playing teacher for 4 months due to the other staff class quitting. Let me get to part 2. Who do I contact about getting higher pay?
Santa Claus. I think you would just ask him. So that's unfortunate. I would reach out to leadership. It sounds like you've probably already done this to find out when a credentialed teacher will be able to take the job that's been vacated. But we don't pay our paras nearly enough, for sure.
What do you do if the special ed student is eloping from the general education classroom he goes to?
Try to identify why that's occurring at that time.
How is it fair for the district to call it a cluster only when they want, but never when you need it?
Wow. I don't disagree with you.
Oh, BMU, Behavioral Managed Unit. Very good, boss. Let's see. We have that one. How often do we get quarterly or monthly updates on our child?
Quarterly or monthly.
What do you do if a special education student is that's a duplicate. Let's see. My son is OHI and not getting all the help he needs with an ASD diagnosis. And now they want him in the
They want him
in the writing and sensory needs. They did their own evaluation already.
I guess I don't understand the question.
Me neither. It looks like a chunk was
the internet ate it.
Yes. Okay. Let's see.
I was just thinking you were saying, what would you do for a Klondike bar? And I don't like candy, but you know what I do like, Cindy? So I was driving home from the Dallas area last night, and I know not to buy it. You know, like you're an adult and you don't buy certain foods in your house.
Oh, yes.
At the convenience store, it's like there's no little gates on stuff, right? So they have these things called Munchos. You know what these are?
Oh, yes.
They're not a potato chip. I was like, so when you can't get your rings on tomorrow, remember that you ate that entire $2.99 bag. So good.
Absolutely. And we purchased, somebody in my household purchased mint and peanut butter Klondike bars.
Oh.
I might have had.
Have you seen the new, I don't think they're new, but they're Oreos and they're mint and they're thin?
Oh.
It's like a chocolate minty potato chip. So.
Oh, yes.
Or like when you buy, buy like Halloween candy and they're little ones. So you eat like 11 of them. I wonder why my stomach hurts. I don't know.
I might or might not have left the Oreo thins on the counter and someone might have eaten the entire package.
No.
Oh, yes, he did.
Oh, he?
Oh, yes.
It wasn't Mom?
No. Not this time.
Not this time. Did he eat it with, did he make popcorn?
Yes.
Yeah. Wasn't that amazing in our meeting when the school district proposed a goal for him to heat up his food? And I said he actually preps all of his food and has for years. When? That he brings for breakfast and lunch. He does? He does. You know how you would know that? We talked about this last year.
Yes.
Silly.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I've made Cindy have all the emotions. The first IEP we had years ago, she had really struggled with this district to be on board really for anything. And she jumped up, she goes, "Excuse me," and she ran and threw up in the kitchen sink. And then she was like, "I feel better." And then this meeting, what we had been contending for literally years, and we got it. And then she was like, "Here, you talk." I was like,
absolutely.
I just roll up your cortisol in every meeting, don't I?
Oh my goodness. Put myself on mute to blow my nose. Oh, yes. Okay, let's see. What happens when a child with an IEP is not on grade level, but you want to know what is being done?
I would talk about the identified area of need and how we can best serve that. So is that RTI? Is that an accommodation? Is that special education?
Will you be back and prosper?
You know, Cindy, prosper is beautiful. Like, it's gorgeous. It's likely that I'll be back there because I have clients there. Are we going to have another press conference? That's highly probable.
Okay. Let's see. I'm in Texas. I'm SPED certified. You said that I needed to be math certified in the fall. Asking for a friend.
Yeah, and so...
is that a law or something?
Yeah, it's a new law that was passed that starting in the 26-27 school year. That seems so long, doesn't it? Is that you require that credentialing in that content area. So let's say that Linda was the science teacher for ABC school for 20 years, but she was, I don't know, maybe she has a history degree, right? So there's a credentialing that you have to get for that. And Cindy, how does credentialing work? Do you just go down to the credentialing office, they give you crinkle paper, you wad it up? Because clearly I don't know. All my credentialing is in yakking. I'm a fully credentialed yacker.
I received some of my credentials from University of Central Florida, some from Nova Southeastern, some through the district. Then they all have to go to the state.
Okay.
And then I get my credentials on a certificate saying I'm allowed to teach.
Okay, so whatever state you're in, just go to your DOE or SEA and ask them for, next year I'm going to be teaching whatever. And they can look at your certification right there. Is it sufficient, or do I need additional training?
And when I found out that I was not certified for pre-K that I was teaching, I was mortified and immediately went and took courses to get that certification because I realized I was out of field and that is not allowed.
There's nothing worse than being out in the field. Is that what you said?
Oh,
no,
my gosh.
out of field. Yeah, and here's the thing. Here's what we know. There are people that are credentialed, that are bona fide, certified, glorified, and they don't like people, much less children. And there are people that do not have anything that you would call a credentialing and are the most life-giving, supportive humans for kiddos. So I love all of that. If I had credentialing, I would put it on the back of my car. I did graduate from Round Rock Beauty College. Cindy, we need to work on getting that. I was the valedictorian in Round Rock Beauty College. So if you're having trouble with your hyponychium or pterygium, we should talk about it. Did I graduate from a 4-year college? No. Did I attend them? A lot of them. I always attended the day like where you threw your little paper in, you paid for your classes, and you got like this sweatshirt. And then, that going to class every day, it was such a commitment. It was such a commitment, right?
It is. It is. What are your thoughts on onesies when a child keeps touching or taking off their clothes?
That is a really good, appropriate question. So we had that yesterday. So I had a client 100 years ago, and she had a son that would eliminate, and then he would put his hands in the back of his pants and get his hands contaminated. And so what she did was put him in a singlet that was 2 sizes too small. And she was embarrassed. And so, we don't need to have every conversation with everybody at the IEP team, but we put it in a personal care supplement. We had him stop wearing a singlet under his clothes. We made an IEP goal. And by the end of the instructional year, we had mitigated that behavior. But I've also had kiddos that had such severe obsession with touching themselves in a number of ways that they ended up bleeding. And we would have to put in a goal that they would go to the nurse's office to use the bathroom for whatever need. And then the nurse would have to stand with the door open, but her back to them. So, kiddos just present with different needs.
Yes. Why would a BIP be removed if behavior incidents are still occurring?
Yeah, so when we look at a behavior intervention plan, I'm going to say, Rachel, how many times is Billy is he out of area? Is he not keeping his hands to himself? And if she said, what happened one time in November and twice in September, and here we sit in May, then it no longer rises to the level of needing a behavior intervention plan. We can still keep the goal if it's a need, and we can still keep accommodations.
When a child is a high performer in school, but then they fall apart at home, what can be done?
So, kids mask, kids hold it all together, disability or not, and kids know what the expectation is from adults, and they use a lot of their bandwidth to do that. So I definitely would like, an in-home parent training evaluation, and even if they didn't meet eligibility for those services, possibly somebody that does wraparound could give you recommendations and resources and access to community services that might be helpful.
Verbally, everything was getting discussed and agreed on in the IEP. But now everything doesn't end up in the IEP document. What do I do?
I would say, dear occupier of the typing and the documentation, we are missing some components. How long would it take you to get those corrected? And just assume that it's a clerical error. Because the other thing I don't want to assume.
Let's see. ASD level 1 child is not getting the support he needs to get, but the school is pushing the gifted program. Why?
So, parents are and should be proud of their kids that are high academic performers, right? But it's not unusual at all for a child that has high IQ, high G scores, to have deficits in emotionality and or communication. And so they're not exempt of each other. And so we're always looking at educational need, not the name of the eligibility, but what is the educational need.
My eloping student is leaving due to sensory needs with loud noises and won't wear headphones. Help, please.
You know, if that is the situation and that is the setup of the room, then we have to consider, is this the right LRE for him?
I'm not getting the tone of this one. To implement at new school, if the week of trial showed all the same behaviors, bid meeting new school.
I mean, if there's an area of need and you need to have a meeting with the school, then do that if it's not in the paperwork.
Was recommended he. Oh, sorry. I'm in Texas. I'm a SPED certified teacher. No duplicate. Looks like we're getting a lot. Let's see. A student is owed related services sessions. How do we regain those?
Yeah, so I'd first say, you know, when did this related or instructional service stop? And then they will tell me it stopped in November, and I'll say, well, we need to look at a compensatory offer. And then somebody at the district says, well, we have to see if they didn't progress. That's not the legal standard. If we know that part of the IEP was denied, it was denied, right? So I would never let my client settle for less. But additionally, you have to look at the impact on the student, because when we talk about compensatory time, that has to be done by who? By the disabled child. So we try to find a balance between, you know, mitigating that loss of a free appropriate public education and to move him back to where he would have been had the IDEA violation not occurred.
The school did their own evaluation, and he's quote unquote not autistic enough, but they keep failing him and he's struggling. What do I do?
So I think as a committee, we can agree there's an educational need, right? Student is not meeting expectations. So the good thing about the law is it's very generous, and it says in 300.111D that a student doesn't have to be eligible or have their eligibility in the paperwork as long as we know that this student is in need of special education related services and has a disability.
Let's see. Are students expected to verbally request extended time or a break in order to keep them on the IEP?
No. No.
What should I do when a school psych denied an initial eval due to the student not having hearing aids?
Well, if there's a hearing or vision deficit that's impacting them, we have to get that rectified before we test.
IEP speech denied for ADHD because they have not seen enough behaviors for ADHD.
So I would clarify, what does enough behaviors mean? And then additionally, I would look at the 16 characteristics that present with ADHD.
Good job drinking water.
Water with electrolytes. Do y'all drink water? Like, did we just started drinking water like 10 years ago? I mean, like, whoever thought you would pay $8 for a bottle of water?
Truth.
And they have the ones in your hotel room, and they're like, do you break the seal and then just put nail glue on it? I mean, I would never do that, but I might have seen it on YouTube. Water.
Whataburger. I have a daughter and a granddaughter that are school teachers. Oh.
That's awesome.
Okay. Let's see. Hello, new SPED teacher here. Thank you for your help. I appreciate the work you do.
Thank you. Somebody the other day made a post about me, and they were trying to be ugly. And they said, I don't know who she thinks she is with her helmet hair and her tweed jacket. And I would just like to say for the record, it's wool. It's wool, ma'am. It's wool.
I like this question. Have you ever written an IEP? Well, I can tell you, last Friday she had to give them help on how to write.
Yeah, absolutely. We write IEPs all the time. And that's the point of the book. And that's the point of our 2-day training, is that we believe you'll be equipped enough at the end of that to actually write an IEP. Have I ever worked in a school classroom teaching public education? No. Do I go in schools and train school districts? Yes. And so, we just don't have enough information given to our educators about writing good IEPs.
Let's see. With regards to an IEP, I want to make sure I am taking care of business. There isn't anymore. Okay. I don't agree with the recommendations for the classroom placement for my child. What do I do?
You have procedural options, right? You can file a grievance. You can file a state complaint. You can bring in more information to look at different criterias. But I wouldn't let it go. I would definitely file and see if you can get somebody else involved.
What do we do if the school has not had data to support sufficient progress for 2 years?
Well, the thing is, we have to write an IEP to enable him to make progress appropriate in light of his circumstances. So that has to be, based upon last year's progress reports. So when we start an IEP meeting, instead of going straight to the eligibility and the present levels, we should start with reviewing last year's IEP progress reports.
My graduate class referenced you once, UDL.
They referenced me as UDL.
What is UDL?
Or UPL.
It says UDL, but it could be
Yeah, probably UDL is unauthorized practice of law. I don't practice law. I don't give an interpretation of what the statute means. Oh, universal design. Oh, well, that's nice. Thank you. Universal design, and not only in my hairdo. So, Cindy, have you ever bought something, you really loved it, and then you went in your closet and you already had it?
No.
Oh, me either then. No, okay, never mind. So I might have just got this jacket, and I might have one in my cart, and there might be already one in the closet. So I like it.
That's clothes insurance.
It's clothes
if
insurance.
I do like something, I try to go and get a couple more of them.
Yeah.
That's what you did naturally.
Okay. Like when you find really good jeans, right? They just fit right, and then they stop making that, what? And they go back to the chicken leg jeans. Ma'am, I need some space for my space, right?
Yes. If you know, you know. And if you don't, the books are amazing. And I can agree with this. It was so hard to wait for them to come out.
Yeah, so we have the Epic IEP, and they're all in our Amazon, in our TikTok shop. We have the Epic IEP Para, and then we have the Epic IEP Law and Federal and State Law Book. And then in a few days, hopefully by June, we will have ready to order the Epic IEP Workbook. We're like this close to being finished. You like a workbook, don't you, Cindy?
I love
all the teachers are like, oh, sparkly pens, highlighters, tabs.
Oh, yes. Clear pens.
Yes.
Betcha.
I just found out about a new pen today. Have you ever heard of Dr. Grip?
No, ma'am.
So it's from Pilot Pens, and it's a thicker grip for people that struggle with arthritis.
Okay.
And they're going to sponsor me. Because you know what I do? I tell people to get a grip. Boom. I'll just put it right here in my pocket. Look at Jana. She's like, really? You thought of that today? I thought of it after you thought of it. Then you transferred that thought into it. Yeah. And Cindy, when you go to office supplies, like if I'm having a bad day, I either want to go to Buc-ee's, and if you know, you know. Or don't tempt me with a good time at the office supply. I'm like, yes, I do need more tape.
Mine, whiteout.
Yeah. Remember? Oh, whiteout was good. Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. A child has been home tutoring for a year. How do you move forward with an IEP? Current data? Question mark.
You probably need to do new testing if he hasn't been in school.
Okay. Let's see. I would probably get in trouble if you were in one of my meetings. I'm too much of a fan.
Oh, thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
It is 45 past the hour. How many questions would you like, ma'am?
3 more. 3 more
You got it.
before we close the door. So, wait. We need to talk about something else, though, Cindy.
Okay, talk.
We can talk about EEA.
Okay.
So, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, starting Monday, January 1st, I am honored to have the distinguished pleasure to co-captain the Epic Educator Academy, which are solely for school-based members. So the Epic Educator Academy will be every Monday night starting June 1st at 7 p.m. Central, and it's $27 a month. We know that teachers need support, they need resources, they need to be equipped, and so we're going to start that Monday, January 2nd, Epic Educator Academy. You just go to Special Education Academy, you can get on the wait list, and then we will all be having fun come June 1st. Won't that be great, Cindy?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I thought teachers like had all these groups and stuff, and the school was training them and giving them, free Subway sandwiches every Thursday with a bag of chips, and that didn't happen, Cindy?
No.
I just thought if you guys were all in there, you're like a big team, and so June 1st, we're excited.
Absolutely. Not unless it was happy hour. And then we pay for it ourselves.
Yeah, the old 5 Stanley Cups. Right? Not only drinking, like, when did we get to this place in life? Like, you have this, you have this, you have this. Like,
absolutely.
Who invented drinking receptacles?
Right?
The other day I was standing in front of a coffee cup. I'm like, don't do it. Like, we don't need any more coffee cups, do we, girls and boys? But wait, I'm like, can I leave it here? Alone, without a home?
Without one matching.
Yeah.
Let's see, we are out of compliance for SPED ratio. And the BOE ignores it. Suggestions?
OCR, Office of Civil Rights.
Let's see.
Yeah, so somebody said, will it be recorded if we can't make the live EEA? So the Epic Educator Academy will be the same sort of model as we have for Special Education Academy. But we're excited. Chana is a legend. And so we want to equip teachers, general ed, special ed, all the eds, all the things.
Should case managers send a draft of an IEP before a meeting?
I mean, that's how we get prepared, right? So that would be helpful for the parents, for sure.
Okay. Let's see. That question was there 7 times.
7 times? That's a lot of times.
Yes, absolutely. Do different schools do different amount of times? I've seen 3 days before, I've had 7 days before, and I've had 2 weeks before.
I think you're talking about how you fill out the schedule of services page. It just depends on the formatting of the district.
Excellent. All right, ma'am.
Okay, so where should we see them Monday, June 1st at 7 p.m.?
EEA!
EEA, Epic Educator Academy. And so we're excited to serve you. We're excited to hear about what you want so that we can better serve you. You are probably working for the largest employer where you live. Education is almost always the largest employer, and we're excited about teaching you guys resources and communication skills, because when the teachers can get united, I believe that can bring about change. Okay, So remember, we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. We'll see you guys in the next training. Hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and you know what? Meet me back here every single week. We're not just talking about change, we're making it. Because when you know better, you do better. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody.